Hello, companions. Do you feel as if true, unbridled rage and fury can be virtuous? Do you feel as if true, unbridled rage and fury can be virtuous? Thank you for the question. But first off, do you feel? This feels like an invitation to feel this question. In our bodies, where do we feel this? I've had quite the relationship with true, unbridled rage and fury from both sides. And I feel they are very different. If I was the one who was truly and unbridledly raging and furious, then I wanted to destroy, to hurt. I didn't feel pain. Nothing could stop me. I wouldn't be satisfied until I destroyed whatever it was that I was resisting at that point. This is one side of unbridled rage and fury. And the other side is when you are in the presence of somebody in that state. And unbridled means that there's no protection. There's nothing holding them back. We are not able to fight back. We are in need of protection, and there's none. And I have experienced that. And then it becomes a very different question. But it's a thinking question. Because if we feel about it, it's very dependent on the situation. So I'm going to rephrase it as, do you think true unbridled rage and fury can be virtuous? And then it seems to me as if I'm going into a philosophical state to avoid this feeling, either a feeling of being powerless or a feeling of also being powerless but just reacting differently to it. So I think in both cases it points towards desperation, feeling powerless, and resisting that. Now the question asked for, is it virtuous? And the way the question is worded, virtuous takes the place of good, handy, helpful. And this is not exactly what virtuous means. The virtue of medicine is that it makes you better. The virtue of paint is that it colors the room, or whatever you want to color. So it's a property that makes something virtuous. So then the question can be asked as, what is the property of true, unbridled rage and fury? What is this? And then we have one more word, one more layer to unpack. And that is true. True suggests that there's also false, unbridled rage and fury. And that would be premeditated rage and fury. You want to get something and you act furious, raging to scare people or whatever. It's premeditated. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about something that happens, just is. There's no stopping it. You're in a mindset of rage and fury. Now, what is that? What is the property of that mindset? The property of that mindset is one of defense and resistance. You have created in your mind a target, a doer, a problem, and the rage and fury is there to take this problem away. But not in a state of harmony, unity, but in an extreme state of the illusion of separation. We can sometimes get into this mindset of separation, feel that we are at odds with the world, we are competing with the world is trying to get us. And in this mindset, there can be a problem outside ourselves, because there is an outside of ourselves. And then there's the word unbridled, which suggests that you can, even if you feel this rage and fury, you can suppress it. And then the question may become, is it better to not suppress it? And that depends completely on the situation again. And what your goals are. But let us return to the property of this unbridled rage and fury. And to get to the property, we must unbridle it. We must let it go. We must be scary to ourselves, because that's usually why we bridle it. The actions that we take to destroy, to kill, those are against our principles, against our virtue, against our I don't know the word anymore. This sometimes happens. Maybe you can guess it from the context. Against our values, there we are. Which is a mental movement. We inherit our values from our parents. And parents are usually not overly enamored with rage and fury. So obviously we got an idea that those are to be bridled. And not doing that is scary. And of course, if you have a choice in the matter, it is better to unbridle this rage when there is no people around to get traumatized, hurt. Maybe you can transfer that rage onto an object and destroy the object. And this may already be very scary for people because they let go of the control. Or you can take an object that can take a little beating like a chair and just hit it as hard as you can with the intent to destroy it. And you can shout, you can cry, because there is this feeling of helplessness inside the rage. Resistance against that feeling of overwhelm, helplessness, desperation. So this is the property of rage and fury. It is desperation. It is defense, but not from a point of unity. Because if you're one with everything, there is nothing to defend against. So you're raging against part of the experience. Can that be virtuous? Can that be good? Helpful? If you are able to stay open and curious to the property of rage and fury, then yes. What is it that triggers this rage and fury? What is it that you're trying to protect? What is so important to you that you cannot even verbalize it? That you have to act out of sheer frustration that it's so obvious, everybody should get this, everybody should know this, but you're backed into a corner and there's nothing you can do except rage. Now society will tell you that this is something to be ashamed about, to feel guilty about. And you can feel shame in the moment that this happens and you notice that it's happening. You can be ashamed. But guilt is not a feeling, not an emotion. Guilt is a judgment, it's a mental movement. So if you feel yourself feeling trapped, if you feel yourself trapped in guilt, try stopping all mental movements. And if you're ashamed, if you actually feel the red hot shame on your cheeks, this is a reconnection. You have been separated, you have been feeling separated. And you are humbling yourself to fit in again. So it's a movement of separation and unification again. it can bring resistance into consciousness. And it is overwhelm and desperation. So then we go back to the two situations where you meet this or you are this. In both cases, I'd say, be gentle. Be gentle to yourself if you find yourself in this mindset. And let it be heard, the rage. Scream if you must, but listen to the rage and fury. What is it that is important to this rage and fury? And if you encounter this, and if you're safe, somebody can be raging and furious but not actually do anything, then you can take this view as well. Say, okay, this is a person in overwhelm. This is a person in desperation who sees no other way to express this. What is needed in this situation so that this can be expressed, so that this person can feel heard? This will help the rage and fury pass through them. What space can we give to this person? And do we recognize in ourselves this rage and fury? And if you say no, then you've had a very strange upbringing, because most children throw tantrums. So somewhere inside there must be this rage and fury. And if you can't feel it, then chances are you're suppressing it. And it has a bigger hold on you than you think. Because rage and fury, if combined with thinking, can really warp thinking. It can warp the way the world looks. And if you're unaware of it, you can think that what you're thinking in rage and fury is real. And that can be dangerous to you and to people around you. But if you're not safe and you're in the problem zone, if you are being perceived as the problem and you don't have any defense, then the hardest part comes into this. Can you still see that yes, this was done to you, this is unfair, and all those thoughts, those are valid thoughts. But can you also see the unity in this? And that's a very hard one. Well, that's enough thinking about rage and fury for now. There's not really an answer. Either way, it's not a yes or no question. But I think you'll find that if you go into this state of mind and look at things, nothing is a yes or no question. But if anybody has a question that they really cannot shed from their consciousness, then this can be a beautiful entry point for inquiry. Thank you for joining in.